Welcome back, Music Maniacs, to another episode of Gibbs Drops the Needle, your one-stop spot for all things music. It was another busy week for me as I celebrated my son's 11th birthday this week, and we had his party yesterday, so I am combining New Music Friday with the charts for this week, and we'll get started with all the new releases for you, genre by genre, and what could make an impact on the charts, starting with the genre of pop. The first album is Role Model, releasing Chuck Timely and the Hourglass. Rain Lene released Blue Island. Flo released Therapy at the Club. Hannah Stretton released Tiarn. Margaret Glaspie released I Am Both. Another album that was released in that genre is Dinner Party, coming out with What You Bringing. For the hip-hop/rap genre, Pooh Shiesty released All Eyes on Shiest. Ella Minus and Nick Leon released Que Les Paso a Mis Amigos. And Inspecta Deck released Dragon's Breath, with Pooh Shiesty being the clear mainstream rap release to watch for this week. In the Latin genre, Karol G released No Me Arrepento de Sentir Tanto. This is arguably the biggest Latin release of the entire week, and one of the two albums most likely to fight for the number one spot on the Billboard 200, so this album should definitely make an impact on the Billboard 200, as well as the charts for top Latin albums, hot Latin songs, Billboard Global 200, and multiple Hot 100 entries. For K-pop, major release this week is Stray Kids, This and That. This is the other release that is most likely to impact the charts. Charts to watch for this album are the Billboard 200, World Albums, Top Album Sales, and Global 200, with this one possibly competing with Karol G's album for that number one Billboard spot. In the alternative rock category, Citizen released Halcyon Blues, Man, Woman, and Chainsaw released Cannonball, The Mountain Goats released Days, Ceremony released Tell Me Your Dream, and Slow Fiction released Dollhouse. In the indie rock and indie pop category, Roy Montgomery and Martha Skye Murphy released Nebular. In the hard rock category, John Carpenter released Cathedral. In the metal category, Cancer Bats released Give Me Dirt. Electric Callboy released Tanzanide. And Xandria released Eclipse. Punk/hardcore category, Initiate released With Love with Rage EP. In the electronic/EDM, major releases were Over Mono, Pure Devotion. Narrow's Day at Disneyland released Babylon, and Matt Proxy and Y Control released Far Away. In the jazz category, Matthias Bublath released The Real. There were actually no major country releases for this week, so those are all the new releases that you can check out this week. I also, for new releases coming out, wanted to go over the Madden 27 official soundtrack. Madden is a very popular American football game, and the soundtrack for it is something that I personally always look into because Madden is one of my favorite video game releases throughout the year, and even though sometimes it doesn't live up to the expectations that people expect, I still have fun with it most years. There are frustrating parts of it, but for more on the gameplay and everything like that, you can definitely find people that are more into the video game part of it, but I wanted to touch on the soundtrack part of it, which is something that normally doesn't get a whole lot of attention. So I wanted to go over the soundtrack listing for Madden 27, and it is a very extensive list as I went to the official EA page and got this. It says, quote from EA, "You'll notice something a little different in this year's Madden NFL 27 soundtrack, crossing genres from both legendary artists and future stars. The jam-packed soundtrack delivers a total of 80 songs that you'll hear in menus and in stadium. So not only does the Madden NFL 27 soundtrack change the game yet again with a diverse list of artists and songs, it's also more massive than ever. A list of these tracks as we go through it. I'm going to go through the ones that you can hear in the menu because those are the ones that you're going to hear the full song. You have Alex Warren with Won't Go Back Again, Amari White with Say It To Me, BNYX Quava, Hunch O Step, Bruvy, Holiday, Danger Mouse, Black Thought, and Raging Bone Man with Up, Daydreamers, Beautiful Agony, D Mula, Made It Out Alive, Diplo and Project Pat with Trippy Main, Diplo, Project Pat, and Juicy J with Flashlight, DJ Shadow, Most Def, 6 Days Remix, Don Tolliver with Gemstone, Ella Langley and Dandelion, French Montana and Max B, Ever Since You Left Me, I Went Deaf, Gnarls Barkley, Line Dance, Grizz Levity with Pop Off, Harry Turf featuring DJ Active, Keith Phelps, and Chemist with Ben Franklin Remix, Hit Boy and the Alchemist with Business Merger, In Color, Headlights, Isaiah Rashad, Mom, Lamb of God, Into Oblivion, Leon Thomas, Just How You Are, Luke Combs, My Kind of Saturday Night, Marcus King, The Marcus King Band, Red Door, Nas, DJ Premier with Get Ready, RDGLDGRN, The Movement featuring Vanilla with Give Me Some Love, Return to Dust, Bored, Sampa the Great featuring Mwanje with Can't Hold Us, Sons of Legion with Out of the Cage, Super Sometimes, Afterthought, T.I. Let 'Em Know, The Red Clay Strays with People Hatin', Voices of Fire featuring Pharrell Williams, The One, Youngblood with Hello Heaven, Hello, and then these other tracks are ones that you will hear while you're playing the game in the stadium, but they will also be in the menus, and that is 311 with Beautiful Disaster, Albie Music, Run It All, Any Given Sin, Like You, Audio Slave with Coach Eyes, Avicii, Levels, Bad Bunny with Titi Me Pregunto, Bruvy with Devour, Diplo, French Montana, and Lil Pump featuring Zavia Ward with Welcome to the Party, which is an instrumental song, DMX, What's My Name, Eka Vandal, Cruisin' to Self-Soothe, Fly and Easton with Swag Surfin', Fatboy Slim with Right Here, Right Now, Good Charlotte, The Anthem, Helmet, Unsung, House of Protection, Pulling Teeth, Incubus, Pardon Me, Kelly Clarkson, Get Up, A Cowboys Anthem, Lenny Kravitz, Like a Jet, Lil Wayne, Green and Yellow, Lit, My Own Worst Enemy, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis featuring Ray Dalton, Can't Hold Us, Metallica, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart, Motorhead, Ace of Spades, Naughty by Nature, Hip Hop Hooray, Nipsey Hussle featuring YG, Last Time That I Checked, Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train, Paramore, Misery Business, Quicksand, Phaser, Rob Bass and DJ Ezrock with It Takes Two, Rocket, Take Your Aim, Souls of Mischief, 93 Till Infinity, Stone Temple Pilots Plush, Styx with Renegade, Superdog, Sucked Out, T.I., Bring 'Em Out, The Killers, Mr. Brightside, The Paradox, Travis Barker with Bender, The Who, Won't Get Fooled Again, Trick Daddy featuring Twista and Little John with Let's Go, Trivium, Pull Harder on the Strings of Your Martyr, Under Oath with Writing on the Walls, Warren G featuring Nate Dogg with Regulate, White Zombie, More Human Than Human, Wiz Khalifa, Black and Yellow, and Zombie Nation with Kerncraft 400 Sport Chant Stadium Anthem. So a very lengthy soundtrack. I do believe that this is the longest Madden soundtrack that I have seen since playing the game, and a very diverse, as they said, soundtrack. It seems like they got people that touch on all genres. They got newer artists, older artists. A lot of these artists on here have been on the Artist 100 list, which we will be going over here in a little bit. And just a pretty good soundtrack. It seems like they have so many tracks on here to where you shouldn't get sick of listening to the same things, because that's where I feel like I fell with previous Madden soundtracks. Is you spend time in the menus and you're hearing the same handful of songs over and over and over again. So this should make it way more diverse and make sure that you're not hearing the same song over and over again. So I just wanted to share that Madden soundtrack with you, because I did see that officially was released this week. So now we're going to get into the charts for this week, the week of August 8th of 2026. We are going to start with the Billboard Hot 100, the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100, starting with number 10, Man I Need by Olivia Dean, moves down one spot. Last week it was number 9, has peaked at number 2, been on the charts for 49 weeks. Be Her by Ella Langley moved down a spot. Last week it was 8, peaked at 2, been on the charts for 24 weeks. Hate That I Made You Love Me by Ariana Grande moved down a few spots. Last week this was number 5, peaked at number 1, has been on the charts for 9 weeks. Staying Put at 7 is So Easy to Fall in Love by Olivia Dean. It's peaked at number 5 and been on the charts for 44 weeks. Also staying put is Dracula by Tame Impala and Jenny. It's peaked up at number 5 and been on the charts for 44 weeks. Moving down a couple spots is Boston by Stella Lefley. Last week this was the number 3 song, has peaked at that number 3 spot and been on the charts for 17 weeks. Staying put is I Can't Love You Anymore by Ella Langley and Morgan Wallen. Last week this was the number 4 song, as I had mentioned, peaked at that number 4 spot here, and has been on the charts for 14 weeks. Moving down a spot is I Knew It, I Knew You by Taylor Swift. Last week this was the number 2 song, peaked at number 1, and has been on the Billboard 100 for 8 weeks. A new song debuting at number 2 is Been By Now by Morgan Wallen. Obviously debuting, it's been on the charts for 1 week and has peaked at this number 2 position. And still your number 1 song, which is continuing to extend that record-breaking history that we had talked about, is Choosing Texas by Ella Langley. It has been on the charts now for 41 weeks. Moving on to the Billboard 200, which is for the albums, the top 10 there. Starting with number 10 is Stick Season by Noah Kahan. This is his older album, making its way back into the top 10. Last week this was number 12, peaked at number 2, and has been on the Billboard 200 for 192 weeks. Moving up a couple spots is The Art of Loving by Olivia Dean. Last week this was the number 11 album. It's peaked at number 3 and been on the charts for 44 weeks. Staying put at number 8 is Thriller by Michael Jackson. It's peaked at number 1 and been on the charts for 729 weeks. Moving up a few spots is One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen. Last week this was the number 10 album, peaked at number 1, and has been on the charts for 178 weeks. Staying put at 6 is Iceman by Drake. Last week, as I mentioned, this was also the number 6 album, peaked at number 1, has been on the charts for 11 weeks now. Also staying put is The Great Divide by Noah Kahan, peaked at number 1 and has been on the charts for 14 weeks. Staying put as well is Dandelion by Ella Langley, peaked at number 1 and has been on the charts for 16 weeks. And a new album debuting at the number 3 spot, which is one that I think we went over on our New Music Friday, is Music Fashion Film by Charlie XCX, obviously debuting at this number 3 spot and being on the charts for 1 week. Staying put at number 2 is You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love by Olivia Rodrigo. Last week this was the number 2 album as well, peaked at number 1 and has been on the charts for 7 weeks. And moving up to that number 1 spot for top album on the Billboard 200 for the week of August 8th of 2026 is I'm the Problem by Morgan Wallen. Last week this was the number 3 album, has peaked at this number 1 position and been on the charts for 63 weeks. Moving on to the Global 200 Top 10, starting at that number 10 spot is a new song debuting on the Global 200, and it's Animal by Cat's Eye. Obviously debuting at this 10 spot and being on the charts for 1 week. Moving up 1 spot at 9 is Swim by BTS. Last week this was the number 10 song, peaked at that number 1 position, and has been on the charts for 19 weeks. Moving up a spot as well is Stupid Song by Olivia Rodrigo. Last week this was number 9. Peaked at number 1, has been on the charts for 7 weeks. Staying put at that number 7 spot is Dracula by Tame Impala and Jenny. Last week, as I mentioned, this was the number 7 song, peaked at number 2, and has been on the charts for 42 weeks. Moving up a couple spots after taking a dip for a couple weeks in a row is Billie Jean at 6 by Michael Jackson. Last week this was the number 8 song, has peaked at number 1 and been on the charts for 155 weeks. Moving up a spot at 5 is Beauty and the Beat by Justin Bieber featuring Nicki Minaj. Last week this was the number 6 song, peaked at number 1 and has been on the charts for 16 weeks. Debuting at this number 4 spot is Ben By Now by Morgan Wallen, and it's been on the charts for 1 week, debuting, as I said, at this number 4 spot. Moving down a spot is Hate That I Made You Love Me by Ariana Grande. Last week this was the number 2 song, peaked at number 1, and has been on the charts for 9 weeks. Moving up 1 spot is your number 1 song on the Hot 100, and that is Choosin' Texas by Ella Langley at number 2. Last week this was the number 3 song, has peaked at this number 2 spot and been on the charts for 40 weeks. And remaining your number 1 song on the Global 200 is Day Day, the official FIFA World Cup song by Shakira and Burna Boy. It's been on the charts for 10 weeks. Now for your Artist 100 Top 10, so the artists that have the most total popularity as far as albums and songs out there. Starting at 10 is Bruno Mars, who was also the number 10 artist last week, peaked at that number 1 position and has been on the charts for 609 weeks. Also staying put at number 9 is Taylor Swift. Last week, as I mentioned, she was also the number 9 artist, peaked at number 1 and has been on the charts for 627 weeks. Moving down a spot is Noah Kahan at number 8. Last week he was the number 7 artist, peaked at number 1, has been on the charts for 156 weeks. Swapping spots with Noah Kahan is Luke Combs at 7. Last week he was the number 8 artist, peaked at number 1, and has been on the charts for 491 weeks. Number 6 is a re-entry, so last week she wasn't even on the Artist 100, and now she made her way into the top 10, is Charli XCX. She's peaked up at number 3 and been on the charts for 102 weeks. Moving up a spot is Drake at 6. He's peaked at number 1, been on the charts for 629 weeks. Also moving up a spot is Michael Jackson. Last week he was the number 5 artist, peaked at number 1, been on the charts for 541 weeks. So have seen Michael Jackson kind of gaining a little more popularity after losing popularity there for a few weeks. Staying put at number 3 is Olivia Rodrigo. As I mentioned last week, she was the number 3 artist, peaked at number 1, has been on the charts for 227 weeks. Moving up a couple spots is Ella Langley. Last week she was number 4. She's number 2 this week, peaked at number 1, been on the charts for 99 weeks. And staying put as your number 1 artist for this week, the week of August 8th of 2026, is Morgan Wallen. He's peaked at this number 1 position and been on the charts for 386 weeks. So that is your charts for the week of August 8th of 2026. And that is all I have for you this time. I'm hoping to put out an episode catching you up on all the news that's been happening since the last time I've done a news episode, and hopefully that'll be out tomorrow. So until then, I'm Gibbs. This is Gibbs Drops the Needle. Stay safe and be kind.